Hey everyone. So I've been listening about some comments from other campaign candidates, and I just keep thinking about this story that I tend to use in my pre-shift meetings actually, every now and then because I can't keep saying the same thing over and over. But there's this story that I think is pretty useful for this context, which is a few years ago, I noticed my kids were watching Pokemon, and there's this cute little Pokemon named Hirachi, and people always make fun of me because they said that I'm not pronouncing it right, but it's cute little star. I'll see if I'm allowed to post it. But anywho, so this star is a wish Pokemon, which means that if you want an apple, if there's if the Pokemon's there, if you wish for an apple from this Pokemon, bam, like an apple will appear. And then if you wish for a car, dang, there you go, a car appears. And if you wish for $1,000, then $1,000 appear. And so this story goes on, and then they found out later on that this Pokemon is actually not it's not actually a wish Pokemon, but rather it's a thief. That what actually happens is that when you wish for an apple, it takes an apple from somewhere else and then give it to you. And then when you wish for a car, it takes that car away from somewhere else and then it gives it to you. And then if you wish for $1,000, then it takes that $1,000 and then give it to you. And then so I think that concept is very helpful when you're talking about resources. And it's a good story to tell people when they're, for example, frustrated about maybe, like incentives or raises or just the time that a management commits to them. And so I try to explain to them that these resources move, and that's really the reality. And the funny thing is, this is actually like a physics law, which is the conservation of mass and energy, which states, in a less Pokemon-y, more, I guess, scientific process, is that nothing is ever just created or destroyed. It always moves from one place to another. And so I think when people or politicians, or I guess people in general, make this statement that they're gonna do this and they're gonna do that and they're gonna make this happen and they're gonna close all these things and no taxes here and houses there, there's always movement. So at least for me, when I'm assessing these things and listening to it, the question is not necessarily what you want, but how are you gonna do it, and also what is the consequence for that action. And I learned this from school, that whenever you have a proposal or a project and that you're trying to change something and how it's done, you have to be your own devil's advocate. You need to be able to go against yourself and ask, like, what are the consequences, like unintended consequences that might happen with this proposal. So I don't know, I don't want to say that people who are campaigning have malice, I guess. I want to believe that they have good intentions and they actually believe in the things that they do, or they plan to do. I guess the question for me is that I wonder if they actually have it calculated in their head in terms of the consequences that this will bring. Because there's no such thing as just producing an apple, and there's no such thing as just magically producing a car. As I mentioned earlier, like Hirachi will tell you it's gonna be moving from one place to another. And my approach will be, as a governor, the people that are involved, the people that are moving these resources around, or the people that owns these resources, because it does belong to the state. Like, what do they propose? What do they choose? Which bucket would they rather have empty, and which bucket would they rather have full? So yeah, no such thing as free apples. Thanks, you guys. Thank you for listening to my rant. Bye.